Hi, this is Julie. Welcome back to my channel. Um, so just to respect other people's privacy and not even their mothers or their fathers. So I called them. They brought the stuff. Well, the next day I'm asking them, I'm like, where's y'all's dad? And they're like, we don't have his number. And I was like, do y'all think he has a Facebook? So I looked him up on Facebook, sent him a message. I said, hey, I have your children. Can you please call me? He calls me the next day, and when I was telling him I had them, his immediate response to me was he didn't have any money. And I was like, I'm not asking you for money. I was telling him, I don't know your children. I don't know your baby mama, and she left your children at my house. He did not want to come get them. Didn't say he would. He said he needed to talk to his wife, and then he calls me back and says that he can't come get them, but he was going to come see him. I think he came and saw him a couple of days later. So, I was like, I'm confused. I'm not understanding that if a stranger's telling you they don't know your baby mama and nor your children, why you would leave them there. But that's what happened. And him and I conversated a couple other times. He did come by, and then he was telling me that like he didn't want to run into her because I guess they had, she would fight on him, and he didn't want to get into an altercation with her, which is understandable. So I was like, well, I can bring them to you. And he was like, he would never give me a straight answer and never say yes or no, but basically would end up saying he'd get back to me and then saying he'd have to do something every single time. So I end up telling their mother, now mind you, every time I seen this lady, and I say drunk, I mean like can't talk straight, can't stand up straight, like that type of drunk every time. So I noticed pretty quickly, that the kids were, they had issues that I couldn't help them with. I took them to counseling. The counseling ends up calling CPS. I had asked her, I told her, I said, if you want these kids to stay with me, because I eventually told her, because it was the end of the school year that year. And I was telling her, because she was talking about her mom coming to get them, but so then she was only going to take the younger two, and she was going to leave the oldest one with me and then let the other two go to Houston. So I was like, I'm not going to, that's just too much. So I told her, I said, hey, I said, they can stay here to the end of the school year, and then your mom can come get them. Don't make them go to a whole nother school, because my intention was to take them and re-enroll them back when they were in school, but I could not do that without guardianship. So she signed the kids over to me. I told her, I said, in order for me to sign the papers and be able to do anything for them at the school, I'm going to need you to sign over, temporary custody of the kids to me. And now, mind you, like, my house is pretty big, but all the rooms are filled. And at the time, my son was in the 6th grade, and he had a bunk bed. So, I was able to accommodate her son. But then that meant that the other one would have to be in there. End up putting all the boys in the same room, and then my daughter had to share a room. My children accepted them with no problem, no complaints, never, nothing. Shared their beds with them and everything. My family as well. My mom and dad, my siblings, their significant others, my cousins, without question. I already had 4 kids, but they accepted them like I birthed them. Birthday parties, holidays, all of that. They're already buying 4 gifts for my kids, and now it's 7, right? So, that's just the type of people we are. And often, the kids would come to me, the oldest son and my daughter, upset about why their mom just left them. And she came to the house a few times. She never gave me any money. to help with them at all. She never bought a sock, a hot dog, a piece of paper for school, nothing. And what the when the counselor from the place that I was taking him for counseling called CPS, she found out that she was getting child support for the kids the whole time that I had them. I was not getting any money. There were also people at the school saying, you need to be a foster mom so you can get a check for them. And that was not why I did what I did. I saw a need and it broke my heart because I've always had my parents. I have great parents, and I couldn't imagine going through this life without that support. So there's not, it moved my heart, that I wanted to help them. And she came by less and less. She got upset when they put the child support on hold. I wasn't getting it. They didn't divert it to me because you have to go to court to do all that stuff. So of course, they set a court date, but that would mean that she would have to relinquish her rights and all this stuff. So she, they would have to serve her to do that. And their dad and I would go, and this is just for the younger two that she was getting child support. Their dad and I would go to court and sit there all day long. He's missing work, I'm missing work. And she wouldn't show up. And this went on for a year. And finally, it was crazy because the last time, the lady was like, every time she would reschedule us, after we would sit there all day, and she said, you know what, I'm just going to put you on standby for the next time, meaning that we did not have to come to court. That if she came, but we had to be on standby, that if she came, we would have to stop and come, whatever we were doing, and stop and come. So, that's what they did. When she found out that she wasn't getting the child support and she assumed I was, she showed up at my house when I wasn't there and tried to fight my oldest daughter and threatened her and all this stuff. And I was very upset. Now, mind you, they had family here, on mom and dad's side. And what I didn't understand the whole time is why me as a complete stranger could get all this stuff done for them, but nobody else, and everybody knew how their mother was, why nobody else did that for them, so they could still be with blood family. He came and got them a couple of times. But Rudy would come back and she would be upset because she would be like, when you do stuff for us, you do the same stuff for all of us. When Nana and Poppy, and she's talking about my parents, would do things for them, for all the kids, they would do, and my brothers. When they did stuff for my kids, they did it for all of them. They wouldn't be like, well, just the original four, and we're not doing anything for y'all. That's just not the way it was. And she would get upset because she felt like when they went over there, he did different things for their younger two siblings than he would do for them. And, I didn't understand the situation. She would ask me, she didn't understand why her mother would just leave them and they're not her children. And I couldn't answer those questions. Those are very hard questions to ask because I could speculate, but I don't know. And he's telling me that he tried to get them. He wrote CPS letters. He did all this stuff, and they wouldn't let him, which I don't understand because he's a biological father. He had every right to them. So I just didn't understand how me, as a complete stranger, non-blood relative, could do the things that I did for them and get custody of them. So she told him, if the kids have ever lived with you for any period of time, we could take some of the back child support off from her, because they had seen how much she hadn't been involved in her life. And I was telling them from everything that I knew, she didn't have them. Even before they came to my house, they would just be kind of from pillar to post. She would drop them off with strangers, drop them off with just various people, because that's just the way she moved. Even the people at CPS told me that like that was kind of her pattern, not to be surprised if she came back and tried to get them. So when CPS got involved, and Brittany had called, she didn't want to go back with her mother. She was tired of living like that. She wanted some stability in her life and for her brothers as well. So when that happened, it changed things for them. But when we were there, I allowed him to, he kind of looked at me like, can I say something? And I was like, I allowed him to sit there